YouTube, what is going on? My name is Francis Mangubat, and today I'm going to tell you exactly how I became a self-made millionaire by the age of 25 years old. And now I'm 26. I'm getting a little bit old, but excited to take you through my journey step by step. So a little bit of a background about me. I currently live here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have a real estate team, Advanced Philly, co-founded by me and my partner, Lawrence Resnick. Last year we sold $85 million here in Philadelphia, and I'd say one of the reasons why I'm so fortunate is I have been fortunate to be able to work with some of the most sophisticated and successful real estate developers, real estate investors, real estate agents here in the city, and everyone has taught me so much, which has really allowed me to progress with my career. Last month, June of 2020, I was able to sell just under $5 million in real estate for the month of June 2020, which Broker Metrics and the Multiple Listing Service has ranked me as the number 5 agent in Philadelphia County among my really good buddy, Mike McCann, the real estate man, who has been an incredible mentor to me, and the king of real estate, Alan Dom, the king of Rittenhouse Square. So a little bit of background about myself. When I moved to Philadelphia in 2016 after graduating University of Delaware, I didn't come here knowing anyone. My family didn't have any connections. I literally came from nothing and built it all myself, which is, the reason why I'm saying that is I just don't want other people to be like, oh, well, Francis had really rich parents that just handed off all these deals to him, or I didn't get a loan of $1, $2, $3 million to be able to build anything up. I literally started everything myself, and what I'm excited to do is to be able to show you the path that maybe it'll inspire you guys to go ahead and take action. So a lot of people try to say, hey Francis, your mom's a fully practicing doctor, surgeon, you weren't poor growing up. And what I would say is that my family moved, or I personally moved from the Philippines to the States when I was 8 years old, and my mom had to redo residency and my dad had to get a minimum wage job. So growing up, when we first moved to America, there were 12 of us living in a 3-bedroom apartment in Chicago, Illinois. We were living off free lunch at school, food stamps, secondhand cars, thrift store clothing. I mean, everyone, even at the public schools, everyone mostly had more money than us. But what I take away from that is that mindset and growing up in, where, my family didn't have as much money as everyone else, that really created a mindset in my head of always working a lot harder than everyone else and just seeking to take advantage of every opportunity. So when I was in middle school, again, in middle school and high school, all the way through 2012, a lot of my best friends, they all had a lot more money than me and my family. And so my friend's father, who literally has had the biggest impact on my life, his dad owned an insurance company. They had a beach house, a nice house with a pool in Dover, Delaware, and I'm just so grateful for them always taking me in, taking me out to dinner, grabbing lunch, letting me hang out at their house. And the biggest thing that I really took away was Mr. Zaragoza, who's my best friend's father. He gives me this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he really changed my mindset from when you have the 4 quadrants he talks about in the book to, man, it's been so long, but I think on the left side of the quadrant you have employee, self-employed, and then on the right you have investing and then businesses. So Ellie's father, Mr. Zaragoza, really allowed me to transition from having an employee mindset of wanting to work at a big corporation, working myself up slowly, to just starting my own thing and just being in free enterprise and allowing what the free market will bear. So that leads to me being at University of Delaware. I get to school. 2012 was my first year. I started as a finance major, and majoring in finance, my thought process is a I'll work at an accounting firm, or maybe I'll try and work investment banking and try and work myself up the ladder. What I came to realize is that, a lot of my friends that were, 5 years out of school, they weren't that happy with, their jobs or where they were at financially. So actually, while I was at school, I had a really good work ethic. I interned at JP Morgan. I had an internship earning $25 an hour. And then I also did sales for this company, Isogenics, which is, health and supplement company. And it's pretty crazy. Like my senior year of school, just through working hard, I actually was able to make like just under $100,000 by the end of 2015, which is my senior year of school. So it's my senior year of college. It's 2015, 2016. I'm doing pretty well with my job, my internship, my grades. I graduated with like a 3.7, 3.8. But I ended up meeting some really successful people in the real estate industry that kind of helped me, make up in my own mind that real estate is a great career. So I have a buddy, Carlos, that owns like a handful of investment properties here in Philly. I have a friend, Laurie, who her manager in New York City was Ryan Serhant. I have a friend, Deanna, that has sold a handful of homes for tens of millions in LA, Beverly Hills. And most importantly, I have a buddy, Aaron, that he's local here in Philly. He averages about 10 million in sales a year. And what really opened my mind up to real estate is I grabbed happy hour and lunch with Aaron a couple times. And 10 million in real estate sales, it's like 275,000. By the time you're done expenses, your net's probably like around 200. And what I thought in my head is, Aaron's in his early 30s. He's making almost as much money as my mother, who, did 2 rounds of residency, med school. Had to go, like, if you go to school to be, doctor, lawyer, it's so much money in debt. And I kind of saw that Aaron would just, normal education could be doing that well in his early 30s. So for me, that made a lot of sense. And I got into real estate sales with the idea that if I get in and I just work my butt off, and even if I don't make any money for 4 years, that's fine with me, because I'm learning a skill and I'm learning a craft in where there's no limit. So Aaron introduces me to the biggest mentor that I have to this date, Antonio Adican. And I've spoken about Antonio previously, but he graduated from Wharton, and at one point he was the number 4 agent in the country with Prudential. He started the Keller Williams franchise here in Philadelphia, which, between the 2 offices did like $2 billion in sales last year. Just Adam and Antonio Adican are some of the biggest mentors that I've ever had. And I'd say the biggest thing that I can absolutely recommend to anyone that is looking to be successful or they want to start doing well is, most important, you got to find a mentor that can teach you what to do A to Z, but most importantly has already done it themselves. Because you go on social media and you go on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, like there's so much fake shit out there that it's really tough to tell who is the real deal and who's full of shit. Because there's a lot of people that want to sell you these fake programs and these get rich quick schemes, which is why I appreciate the mentors that I've had personally in my life. So I graduated a semester early, so 2016 was my first 9 months in the business. I got started in March. And for me, I got fortunate to get to a quick start. So it started in March. I remember going to Ultra Music Festival 2016. It was my very first time going. Got back, got right to work, started April. And by like July of that year, I was able to close 5 transactions for $1.5 million in sales really quickly. And one of the reasons why I was able to do that is, number one, I focused on lead generation, business development, and getting clients. And number two, having learned the business from a mentor that's one of the best in the entire city, if not the country, it really got to fast track my learning curve. And that really allowed me to add value to a lot of clients, which allowed me to get those sales right away. And so for me, I mean, you look at $1.5 million in sales, that's like 45,000 in commission at like a 50% split. That's ballpark, $22,000. And for me, I still had my isogenics income coming in. I had the money that I saved up from college, and like $22,000 like right out of school in 2 months. For me, that was like ridiculous amount of money, and that just kept me pushing to work harder and harder and harder and harder, and that really set the pace for my personal real estate career. So one of the things that actually really helped me out in 2016 is, if you look at my face, I have a baby face and I look a lot younger than everyone else, even though I don't really act like it. So like in the middle of 2016, one of the biggest investments I ever made was I ended up buying my first Rolex from Goldberg at 22, and that actually like really helped out my personal business, because I feel like buyers and other people would meet me in person, and I feel like Rolex is a sign that like, hey, this guy's already successful, he knows what he's doing. And that coupled with dressing professionally, dressing a lot better than everyone else, speaking professionally, the body language, that just helped me out big time. And I feel like that separated me from like the competition, or not necessarily the competition, but you hear so many stories of like a lot of real estate agents coming into the business, and you're supposed to only sell like one house in 6 months, or your first year, you say you'll probably make $15,000, $20,000. But for me, just working my butt off, you have a lot of things that really added up to create this bigger result. And I mean, on top of that, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. I was going to the gym at 5, 6 in the morning. I was getting done at 9, 10, 11 p.m. and just building my network here in the city, just working nonstop, learning nonstop, networking nonstop. And so by the end of 2016, I finished with, I think it was $4.5 million in sales. So I think that's like, let's just say that's like, 60,000 in commission on a 50% split, and I still had my supplement business that was paying me passive income. So I did clear 6 figures my very first year in the business, and I'd say this is probably the most important thing that I've ever done my first year in the business, and I think that everyone should do. In October of 2016, I ended up purchasing my first house. Now you're probably like, okay, real estate, you need 2 years worth of commission to get approved for a mortgage. I was fortunate that, okay, number one, I think sales is the highest profession in the world. So I actually sold my mom and my parents on co-signing on my first house. So, that house, it was all of my money. Every single penny that was used to that house was all of my money. So I ended up buying a house in Point Breeze. I bought it for $350,000. I put 5% down, and so I ended up buying a 3-bed with finished basement, 1,800 square feet with a 10-year tax abatement. So the taxes are only $1,200 a year, and what I did was I got 3 of my friends to lease out bedrooms, $800 a month. So my mortgage was like $1,900 a month, and I was bringing in $2,400 a month and living for free. So that just completely wiped out my living expenses, and that really set the foundation for me to save money to invest and keep growing it, which I think eventually led me to becoming a millionaire super quickly. So 2017 was a really, really big year in my career. That year I ended up doing $10 million in real estate sales myself, individually on Antonio's team. And a majority of that was just working with buyers and helping buyers go and find homes. And I'd say one of the reasons why I was just able to be so good at getting real estate business is that everything that I'd be doing, from 6 a.m. in the morning when I wake up and I'm going to the gym to 11 at night when I'm going to bed, everything that I was doing is lead generating, business developing, and prospecting for real estate business. And I just figure out, if there was ever a time with a client that I didn't know anything or I was unsure of something, I'd say, hey James, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find it out. I would never, bullshit anyone and give anyone like a fake answer. I would just, if I didn't know the answer to something, I would go and ask my mentor. I was very resourceful. I'd either call my broker of record, Vicky, or I'd call Aaron, I'd call Adam, I'd call Antonio, like, hey, this is a really tricky situation. What do I need to do? And I would say that, every single line of the 14-page agreement of sale for the sale of real estate, I know that inside and out like the back of my hand, just because of the amount of transaction volume that I've done. I feel like, every single real estate transaction I've learned, so much A to Z, different things about. So basically everything A to Z in a real estate transaction I've experienced, and I've found out what the solution is to the problem from someone that has already gone through it, whether it's an attorney, my broker of record, my mentor, and I've figured it out and have given the client as a solution. So whenever I'm meeting a new buyer at an open house or I'm meeting someone on the street and they have a question, I can answer it like really, really well, and that's just all done through experience. One of the biggest thing that I took away from my year of 2017, where I'd say like my total income from all the income streams was like just under, just under $250,000 gross, and I was it 2017? I had to be like 23 years old, and that's me living in a house with 3 roommates, bringing in $2,400 a month, having minimal expenses, and so I was just able to save a lot of money. So one of the things that I focused on is, starting to work with builders and real estate developers and investors. Because what I saw is, if you want to go sell, if an individual wants to go sell 10 million in real estate volume, rather than, go and find 10 home buyers that are buying, $500,000 homes, you're going to find 20 home buyers. You could go and find one developer that's going to go build those 20 homes to have the same amount of commission income. So that's what I focused on. And in 2017, I got to meet, some real estate developer clients that, it was very early on in my career. So they didn't really work with me. They liked me, but I didn't get any real estate developer clients at that age. I'd say I got my foot in the door. I built relationships and, just started being friends with, some real estate developers. I'd say that foot in the door has, created the seed in where now I have, one client that, I'm going to sell 50 houses for in the next 2 years. And I have another client that I'm going to sell 50 houses for in the next 2 years. And I have another client that has, 2 boutique condo buildings, and that's 30 houses that I'll be selling in the next 2 years. So that's the importance of, having a long-term vision and, being patient, just, working, doing stuff for free, not really seeing a result, to where, your business will exponentially grow. So at the end of 2017, I was just, planting seeds, but I wasn't harvesting yet. And 2018, 2019, some crazy years to come. 2018 was absolutely my breakthrough year. So 2018, towards the end of 2017, I started Advanced Philly with my business partner, Lawrence Resnick, and it was a crazy year of growth. So we started out just the 2 of us. Lawrence had a lot more business than I did because he's 5-6 years older. And at first, I was doing all of the admin paperwork for the 2 of us. And then I realized, hey, I'm not really a details guy. I'm not really good at doing the administrative work. So we hired our first ever director of operations, or at the time she was just our transaction coordinator. And yeah, that really allowed me and Lawrence to start focusing on sales, pre-selling new construction for developer clients, getting buyers and finding them houses, getting them really good deals on that, finding development deals for our clients, and just creating opportunities for everyone. So that was like a really, really, really big year of growth. By the end of 2018, just me, Lawrence, and we hired, I think, like 2-3 new agents, and we ended up doing, I think, 30 million, maybe 35 million in sales by the end of 2018. I'd say the biggest thing that I learned 2018 was 2018, again, I said I'm very, very fortunate to work with some of the best, some of the most sophisticated, real estate investors and developers in the city. So in 2018, my two lessons is, number one, I started, investing in, real estate deals with my clients, and, that has earned me anywhere from 25% to 100% a year. I know how to underwrite all of these deals. One of the reasons why I got so good too is a skill that I really started honing back in 2018 that I'm really good at now, and what a lot of people rely on me for is finding a plot of land. Let's say we build a single family home that's 3,000 square feet with garage. These are the finishes. What is this going to sell for a year and a half down the road with these types of finishes? And that I actually fucked up a condo deal for one of my clients, and it was really good learning experience on my behalf. And the big thing is if one of the things that I've implemented into my life is, whenever I've made a mistake, I've never, ever, ever made the same mistake twice. And whenever I make a mistake, I own up to the mistake and I fix that shit. So being able to underwrite these deals, I started investing in, client deals. And the second thing that I did was, in April of 2018, I ended up buying my second house in Breetown, Philadelphia. I did really well on this house. I bought the house for $360,000. Now it's worth $450,000. And again, I was bringing in $2,500 in rent when I lived there. Now it's bringing in $3,200 a month in rent. My note on it's $1,900 a month, and I only put 5% down. And one of my developer clients, Ron, actually encouraged me to go buy it. And plus, I got to sell out the 15-unit development for one of my developer clients, and it was I bought the number 2 house out of 15 units, and with new construction, when you're one of the first buyers in there, you typically get the best deal. Correction, 2018, I was just looking at the numbers. We did like just under 40 million in sales, and me and my partner Lawrence did 30 million of the 40 million. 2019 was absolutely the best year of my life. As a team, we did 85 million in real estate sales. At this point, my expenses were super, super low. At the start of the year, I was still living in a house with 3 roommates, and my expenses were very, very minimal. At the start of 2019, I was still waking up at 5:30 in the morning, taking an Uber pool to Center City just to save money. I mean, I was just getting started, and my expenses were super, super low. And by May of 2019, I end up getting a spot in Center City at the Atlantic building, which is an awesome building. Set up like a home office there, started doing a lot of work there, ended up meeting some incredible friends, some of who are my best friends today. And one thing that I took away from transitioning living from Breetown to Center City is the priceless thing about living in Center City at one of the best buildings in the city and one of the best locations in the city is everyone most people that live in Center City at an incredible property like the Atlantic Building, everyone there is super, super successful, super, super smart. You know, everyone that, you know, is in this area that's like on Delancey Street or whatever is probably the best at what they do. And one of the things that I've implemented is, like, everyone who's successful, I've just taken, you know, a little, you know, tiny, you know, piece of advice they have, habit, mindset, and I've implemented that into my own life. So 2019, I've learned, you know, so much. You know, by the end of it, I ended up moving into my house in Grad Hospital, ended up, you know, customizing a house there on 20th and Carpenter with, you know, some really, really nice finishes, you know, $10 square foot floors, you know, matte black Bosch and Bertazzoni appliances, you know, Italian cabinets, crazy rooftop deck view, but it has a 10-year tax abatement. And what I learned from buying that house actually is, and one of the investment strategies that I've implemented into my own life is that I will buy around investments that big developers are making. So my house is on 20th and Carpenter. On 21st and Carpenter, there's a developer that's building 50 single family homes in block-to-block retail for $1 million. So I bought my house for $600. You know, I think it's worth, you know, $750,000 now. And my strategy is I'm gonna live in it for 2 years. I got another year left, a little bit over than a year. And when I sell it, I can, per the IRS tax code, make up to $250,000. You know, my gain of $250,000 I don't have to pay taxes on, which for any high income earner, that's like making $450,000 worth of ordinary income, because, you know, for living in Philadelphia, you're paying around 45% tax on ordinary income if you're a high income earner. So to sum up 2019, it's basically, you know, Gary Keller, who's worth $250 million, he says that success is boring. You know, you kind of feel like you're just doing the same thing every single day. And the reason why people get in trouble is, you know, what they're doing that gets them to be really successful, it just feels boring. You feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. And how people get fucked is when, you know, you've been really, really successful at your main business, and then, you know, you start to get bored, you want to go and try new things. You're in the real estate business, or maybe you want to get into growing marijuana, or you want to get in the nightclub industry, or you want to go and start selling cars. Like, I don't really know that business. So that's why I only do real estate. I can see how other people want to get into it because it's super sexy. You know, there's all these numbers, or like even me, like I'm like, oh shit, I should invest in the stock market. But I don't know anything about the stock market. I just know real estate. So I've learned to just stick to my thing, which is real estate. And you know, even though it may seem boring because I've been doing the same thing every single day since 2016 for the last 4 years, but I'm just gonna keep doing, you know, the boring things, and I'm gonna just keep getting better and better at what I do. And 2019, you know, I'd say it's the same thing that I was doing in 2016, but the clients got bigger. You know, the houses that, you know, I'm selling now are, you know, I'd say much more expensive. The developers are a lot more sophisticated. The deals are a lot more complex, and I'd say I can make a bigger impact now on helping people just because I've learned so much more. And to go in hand with 2019, I'd say it's the most fun year that I've ever had. You know, finally got to get out and start going out with friends, and, you know, start going up to bars, nightclubs, start traveling everywhere. Some of my favorite spots to go to are, you know, I've been to Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, just got back from a trip from Mexico. So that's definitely something that I'll be implementing, especially on holiday weekends. Since I got back from my trip, I now want to do at least one vacation every 3 months. And, you know, these are just gonna be weekend trips. But, you know, for the first 2016, 2017, 2018, and the first half of 2019, all I did was freaking work, man. Like, just worked like 80 to 100 hour weeks. 2016 to 2018, I didn't even go out. And I feel like that is why I am at where I'm at. It's just, you know, the grit and the tenacity and, the obsession with just getting it done for my clients. And what I love about real estate is it's black and white. You either get the deal done or you don't. There's no, you don't get an effort for trying. You don't get paid for your time. You get paid whatever value you bring to the marketplace. So 2020, crazy year, was super hot at the beginning, selling houses like crazy. And then March, my buddy Sonny comes down from the New York City area. I'm telling him like, dude, the market's going so great. Everything's selling at record prices. I'm pre-selling everything. It's gonna be the hottest spring. And then like the next week, coronavirus hits and everything just shuts down. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen because, we get put on these lockdowns, and for me, I'm very social. I'm out, seeing someone every single hour of every day. I'm, in meetings, take crazy amount of phone calls, and when all of it got shut off, and I was just sitting at my spot for 2 weeks doing nothing with everything shut down. It definitely felt a lot of anxiety, depression. So I ended up going out to California, and just to get some peace of mind, warmer weather. It wasn't 25 degrees, and I think this is a common theme in my life. So two of my best friends from high school, they started this company. They're on pace for like a $500 million valuation. Both of them worked their freaking butt off. So I just quarantined with them in San Diego. Went to work every single day, still worked out, and spent like April, like last week of March, and to the first week of May in San Diego and Los Angeles, where I have a lot of friends and family. And I'd say my discipline there has carried me. I was working out there at least 4 or 5 times a week. I managed to sell 8 properties when I was out there, and pretty crazy. Got back, and it's so nuts how, like in California, I didn't know if my tenants were gonna pay rent. I thought I was gonna run out of money, and good thing I, had money saved. I had like just a little over 100,000 in checking, and fortunate that was able to get me through the months. And then the federal aid absolutely helped, and got back in May, and it's just been, I've been working my butt off. I've been since first week of May when I got back. I've been working like 80 to 100 hour weeks, the busiest I've ever been in my life. And June, I just had my best month ever, 5 million in closed sales, like a ton of listings signed up. July should be an even hotter month. And it's July now, and it looks like our team should do the same amount of volume that we did for last year. And just, keep investing in deals. So that one deal where I invested with my client, I'm probably in like 10 of those deals, and just buying more and more. February this year, I ended up buying a renovation in Grad Hospital. It was figure 325 purchase, 325 hard and soft cost interest. I'll be all in for like 650, and the property will be worth $1 million when I'm done. So it's pretty great. Adds 300,000 to the net worth. So, just looking to learn every single day, looking to get better. And it's July. I don't even know the date because this watch doesn't have a number like my other one does. But just gonna keep working my butt off. And I literally see myself doing this until I'm like in my 70s, maybe 80. Just an FYI, this is not my house, by the way. This is my friend VJ's house. He just hired me, Advanced Philly, to go sell this yesterday. So, little background, it's 4,200 square feet with a 2-car garage, 7-stop elevator. The living room has 18-foot ceilings, top of the line, Sub-Zero and Wolf appliances, European white gloss custom cabinets, incredible, master bed, huge walk-in closet, statement staircase, floating stairs with 3-inch treads, and 4 outdoor spaces. You have this backyard, you have it off the kitchen, and then 2 in the rooftop deck, and 9 years left on a 10-year tax abatement. You're paying just under $5,000 a year in taxes when normally it would be like just under 19,000. So incredible, incredible value here in Center City. Carl Dranoff's building like a $250 million high rise that's 3 blocks north of here. So incredible, incredible value. VJ, thanks for letting me film here. One thing that I forgot about the year 2020 is that next month in August, I'll actually be buying one of the other properties that I bought is a triplex, and that's a 3-unit in an up-and-coming area of the city, South Kensington, off of 4th and Berks. So I'm buying it with my best friend who is originally from Boston, and he now lives in Southern California. Excited to get this going. One of the reasons why we bought it is number one, it's a 10% cash-on-cash return, and we're predicting at least 10% appreciation in the next 1 to 2 years. So yeah, I don't really want to get into the specifics of like addresses and all that I bought, just because, I don't know, I feel like we're in a litigious society, and it's so easy to go file lawsuits. And believe me, I'm like, my friends and clients are, you know, some of the best and most sophisticated lawyers in town. So, you know, we'll keep it cool. But on a side note, you know, don't want to get into any specifics, but just the properties that I personally bought in my name with residential financing, there's around like $850,000 in equity in, you know, those properties that, you know, I bought in the last 4 years, and you know, that's not including the triplex. But you know, if you add up those 4 houses, you know, there's $850,000 in equity, and then, you know, if you add the triplex, you know, once all those notes are paid off, the market value of all the properties should be like at least $3.5 million in, you know, 15 to 30 years, depending on whether I want to accelerate the debt. I think the monthly cash flow on that is, hold on, let me count. So the monthly cash flow on all that, once everything's paid off, is just over $20,000 in gross rent once those are free and clear. And that's not counting all of the, you know, investments where I just, you know, cut checks with my super, you know, talented and amazing clients that I've, you know, gotten to learn so much from. So I'm super fortunate in making this video. I want to thank everyone for your guys' support, and yeah, if I could help out in any way, you know, connect with me on Instagram at Francis Mangubat. Like this video with the thumbs up, hit me with a subscribe, and yeah, looking forward to providing more value here. Let's go.